All right.
Okay. Ready?
Yeah.
All right. Welcome to Hatching, episode 15. Hatching is a podcast about early stage ideas, experiments, and about our company Need Want. I'm Marshall Haas.
I'm David Myers.
I'm John Wheatley. I was worried then. We
You
normally.
can't start in the middle.
Right.
Oh, right. Oh, because you have your little After Effects thing going up.
Oh, it's fine. We can do that.
Okay.
I'll figure that out.
All right. Cool. So if you're watching the video sorry, John. John just yelled at me about hitting the table.
We talked about that for like 5 minutes before we
Yeah.
recorded, so
Yeah.
Sorry.
you've messed up.
Yeah,
that
new
habit.
conference room. That's where
New
we're
conference
at.
room and conference table. If you're watching the video podcast, if you're watching or listening to audio, you should
Just
find
picture
it.
a beautiful table.
Yeah. Let's talk about this thing. I think it's cool. So Jason, our operations guy, was like, hey, I want to build something. We had this conference room. We were going to either just buy a table. And he's like, oh, I know about this wood place that's open like once in a blue moon and sells, I don't know what you'd call this, just raw wood, right?
Yeah.
So he convinced us that he would just finish this thing. So the wood was
$250.
$250. And then Jason's labor of like sanding this, I guess doing a lacquer is what it's called. Back me up if
Don't know.
I
Not very
Yeah, he put some
handy.
coating on it.
yeah. And it's two pieces, and obviously in the middle is the cool grain.
Yeah.
And then found a welder to build a frame. So table was $250 in wood. Frame was like what, 900?
Yeah, it was like 1,000, somewhere around there.
It's like, and it had to be like a custom size.
Yeah, it was like custom
whatever.
size. Like
Yeah.
there's like
Oh yeah, in the
cool
middle.
metal thing
So you can put the
in here, drop cords in.
Yeah. Turned out well. And
Yeah.
then chairs were like what, $70 a pop on Amazon?
Wasn't too bad.
Little Eames replicas.
And they're competing tables like this on Etsy. Well, there are some lists for like 10 grand,
Yeah.
20 grand.
Yeah.
And we basically just ripped. We found one on Etsy and just like
Yeah, I want that.
bought the parts.
Saw the thing in the middle, thought that was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Turned out well.
That's the conference room table. It's funny, like we moved into the office maybe 2 months ago now.
Now 2 months
We've
ago.
only just really had access to the conference room because it's been like the wood's been in here, like we've had no chairs, like we had to rip the carpet, do all kinds of stuff. So it's not. It feels like a new office kind of.
Mm. Yeah.
And we've been finding any excuse to have conferences.
Yeah. Our office is kind of like divided in like two halves. Like you come out the elevator, to the left is just like all of our desks and the seating, everything. And then to the right is like a storage room here. We do all the mod scanning. And then this conference room. We just would never come over here.
Yeah.
And now it's like.
Now we have an
open it up.
excuse.
Yeah.
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 So we thought we'd use it for the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully we're not like too zoomed out.
Yeah. I'll.
If we are, sorry.
You can blame me.
No, it's fine.
I thought it just like looked cool. I wanted to emphasize the nice conference room. Thing.
Yeah.
This is kind of
With the
ruining
duct tape and the
shot. Anyway, so Marshall,
Yes.
you went to Europe
Yeah.
recently.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us about your Europe experience?
Yeah. So I went there. Originally, I got invited to talk at UX Munich, which is like a design conference. It's the first time I've ever been paid to speak at a conference. It's kind of scary. They originally asked Andrew at MetaLab, and when I was still there, he's like, "Hey, do you want to go to Europe?" I was like, "Yeah, okay."
Oh, that was
sure."
when you were still at MetaLab?
I think it was like I was leaving like around, I don't know, within like the month. I think it was like near the end. He was like, "Do you want to go?" I had to like pitch him on like, I'm not really going to be talking about MetaLab anymore. I mean, talking about this new thing Need Want. I had to like pitch him on us. Luckily, they still thought what we were doing is cool. But yeah, it was fun. I spoke like the first day. I think it was 2 days, like a dozen speakers. The guy that designed like iDrive and the BMW was there. Like he spoke there. There's like some cool typography guys.
What did you talk about? What was your talk?
So I had the hardest time coming up with what I should talk about. And I just talked about what we know. And the title was Making a Physical Product with a Small Team. So it's like taking the angle of making a consumer product or a physical product from like a large team with tons of budget is much different than like how we, go about doing it. Like lean, mean, like scrappy. And I basically, what's that? Cut corners?
Cut corners, yeah.
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, one of the questions somebody asked me was like, how do you deal with like warranties and stuff? I was like, well, to be honest, early on we just kind of didn't, like we would just kind of would honor like exchanges and stuff. We wouldn't have like some written out legal policy.
We still
like,
don't.
Yeah, we just, it's case by case basis.
Yeah.
I was telling them now it's like we have insurance and stuff like that we're looking into, but Yeah, it was like, and it was clearly people from like big companies that are like, oh, like, what do you do with insurance?
Yeah, and that talk's going to be online at some point,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, so the talk was titled, that, and then it was basically, I broke up in like 3 parts, told the stories of smart betting, emoji masks, and mod notebooks, kind of like the ups and downs of all of them, and then summed it up with kind of like the overarching process on how you go about it with a small team.
Yeah.
It's kind of all blur now. Like, I don't know if it was good or bad or what. So we'll see. I'm kind of nervous to
I
see
saw
the
some good
recording.
tweets about you. I was like following
Yeah,
the
I saw
hashtag
that
for the
too.
conference.
Good.
So
Good.
didn't see any bad tweets.
Yeah. So they paid for the flight and like a few nights at the hotel, and it didn't really matter if I came back a few days after the conference or like 7 days later, and I opted to just stay around for a while because I'd never been to Germany. I'd been to Europe once before, to like London, and that was it. So I checked off some like bucket list stuff. I drove to the Nürburgring, did that. That was fun. Went to Barcelona, and then came back.
Yeah.
It's good.
It was scary. There was a plane crash,
Yeah.
and it was a plane crash. I knew Marshall was flying to
Munich to Barcelona.
yeah, and that was the leg where the plane crashed, and it crashed the day that you were flying there.
Yeah, it was like a few hours before, and it did the opposite. It did Barcelona to like somewhere in Germany.
Yeah.
But you survived.
I'm here.
Well, you weren't. Just to be clear, you weren't on the plane.
Yeah.
You just weren't on the plane.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit scary. But you're back. You survived. Didn't crash in the Nürburgring, which is also good.
Yeah.
Because there was actually a big crash the day after you left too. Did you see
A
that?
few days after, someone died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very scary.
If you don't know, the Nürburgring is basically like, it's this public road in Germany. It's a toll road. It's just a giant loop through like a town. It's 13 miles long, like 150 corners. It's like the most technical track in the world. And it's open to the public, but you don't like exit to go anywhere. You get on it because you want to like drive the track. It's this weird like German gray area of like, let's have a public racetrack. I've always wanted to do it. Went up there, rented like a little track car, and I think did like a dozen laps. It was fun. It was so much fun.
And it was a drive to get there, right?
Yeah.
Just to get there in the first place.
I was like, oh, it'll be relatively close. It was like 6 hours,
Yeah.
which is half of Germany.
It's like you're driving.
Wow, yeah. 6 hours. I didn't know that. Jesus.
Yeah,
Wow.
I feel like I'd
Okay.
just drive there, be kind of burnt out from driving.
Well, I spent.
I just not want to
and
drive.
then just go
anymore.
back.
I had 2 nights in a hotel, so I got there,
Okay.
like kind of
Stayed
hung
in a
out,
hotel.
and then woke up the next day
Okay.
fresh, and
Okay,
then spent the night
gotcha.
again. And I drove back. Driving on the autobahn was cool too. Like no speed
You're just
limit.
saying words that I
Yeah.
don't understand.
The autobahn, like it's.
I've heard of
it's
that,
the highway. It's their highway, and there's no speed
Okay.
limits.
Oh, right.
There are in like some zones, and then there's signs, which I think I don't know, but I think they meant like the speed limit is now
Oh,
gone.
because it's German signs.
Well, it's not in German. It was just like the speed limit will be like in kilometers, like
Okay.
120.
Yeah.
And then I think what it meant is when like you end the speed limit zone, it's like 2 dashes through the speed limit. I mean,
he's
everyone,
I think you're just speeding at a public.
everyone would speed up after that. So I was like, okay,
All right.
Yeah.
I'll go with traffic.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds fun.
Yeah. It was
That does sound
honestly
cool.
kind of exhausting though, because of the SF trip, and then I had an Airbnb guest, and then Germany, I hadn't slept in my own bed in like 5
Yeah.
weeks.
Yeah.
So I got home, I was just like, yes.
Yeah. That's a long stretch.
Yeah.
It's a long stretch to do.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So speaking of SF, we were in SF.
It's a good segue.
It's a good segue. Yeah. So we were out there raising money. We all got sick
Yeah.
during different
We're there for
periods
2 weeks.
of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were sick the first half, right? I was sick the second half. You were kind of sick. Sprinkled.
I had an ear infection. I felt fine. I just
Talk
couldn't
about
hear anything.
what the doctor said on why you get ear
Yeah.
infections.
So, I don't know if I've talked about this in the podcast before, but
I don't know if this is interesting to
haven't
anybody
actually.
else
It's
except
a
for
very
us,
weird thing to talk
but-
about on the
Yeah.
podcast, but
Yeah.
I guess I used to take a lot of baths, which I don't do anymore because I've since moved and my new apartment doesn't have a bath. This is like weirdly intimate. She was just like you take too many baths. Like you gotta stop taking.
I didn't
so
know that
many
was a
baths.
thing.
Neither did I.
Like, you have to take a lot of baths for someone to be like, listen, like you're taking too many
Yeah,
baths.
it's like swimmer's ear or something. That's what
Well,
they call it.
yeah.
You don't just like take a bath every once in a while. it'll be like a Sunday. We're like, oh, like what'd you guys do yesterday? Like, I watched a show, took a bath, got lunch, took another bath.
Yeah, you take a couple of baths. I used to take a couple of baths. Like I realized that adding like, this is such a weird line of conversation, but adding in the bath to the end of any activity just makes it exponentially better.
Reading your Kindle.
Reading in the bath, like eating
you have a
in
waterproof
the bath.
Kindle.
I do have a waterproof Kindle for that exact purpose.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's big tangent, but I had an ear infection, which was actually very annoying.
Oh.
Because I couldn't hear anything.
Yeah.
Which meant
So-
I didn't know how loud I was talking. I couldn't really hear like investors when I were reading
Typically,
them,
when we're
like-
meeting with someone, it's over like coffee or like in a busy off. That was on accident. Popped my knuckle. But usually, like noisy places.
Yeah, there were a few phone calls where I just couldn't hear.
Oh, they're hard. To
Like
hear.
there was just like a bad line, and I was just like, I didn't know what they said.
Yeah. Luckily, sometimes we could like piece it together between all three of us.
Yeah.
But yeah, it went well. We're still going. We're kind of being really selective on who we let in. They're with you forever. We plan to be doing this forever, so we didn't just want to take any money. So yeah, it's still ongoing. It's going pretty well.
Yeah.
How much do you think the whole trip cost for 2 weeks? Flights,
I think I know.
accommodation.
Yeah, it was kind of expensive.
Yeah,
kind of expensive.
It would have been cheaper had we last minute we decided to spend the 2 weeks there instead of 1 week. We also booked the tickets really late, like.
I think it was
week
good spending 2
prior.
weeks there. Like
Oh.
towards the end of the
Oh,
first week, we were like,
Yeah.
it's really lucky we added the extra week because it's just
If
like
we did a week, like we couldn't have done that.
yeah.
Yeah.
There was just too many.
Like the way that it
meetings
works
and-
is like you can't go in, like have some meetings set up, and every single person you meet with introduces you typically to like a few other people. So it starts off like kind of slow and it just ramps up and up and up and up. And if we stopped after the first week, like that's when things are really getting going and interesting. So I'm very glad we extended it for 2 weeks.
Definitely.
Yeah. And in the midst of our San Francisco trip, we relaunched Peel. Like
oh right. Yeah.
in the first week, I
Yeah.
think, of it. And that went really well.
That was a good segue. Very good segue. It's next on my list.
Thank you.
I like that.
Thank you.
So we talked in the last episode of the podcast about how we were worried that what if we do all this work and launch this like cool new website and it doesn't
Yeah.
convert?
Like it
as well?
looks nicer,
But does it?
but what if it converts like half as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. So luckily,
You have the numbers written down.
yeah. Luckily, we're okay. So old conversion rate was 3.2%. And that's like unique visitor to checking out and ordering one or more cases. New conversion rate actually went up quite a bit, went to 4.5. So good job, David.
Yeah. Worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Little-
spent some time this morning trying to figure out the conversions with Marshall, and we realized it's actually like it's very hard. It's harder than I originally thought it was to just like get the old conversion to the new conversion.
Yeah.
Problem is we don't have that much data on the new website, and it's also heavily skewed by the fact that we like did this big launch. We emailed the list like coupon codes, like so these people like already had an experience with the product. They were like there's way more buyer intent there than just like just like a regular month.
Yeah.
So we tried comparing it to like January to when we launched the
day
website.
before, new
but
website.
that's also kind of skewed because it was just after Christmas. Like there's
Conversion
just
rate
so
goes
many,
down typically then.
There's so many variables that it's
Yeah.
like it's really hard to like have a fair comparison.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
blasting the email list, our conversion rate will go up like
Went
hugely
way up, right? It
those
was like
days.
6 point something.
Yeah.
during that period
I think it
of
was even
time.
like 7 or 8.
Yeah.
It was really high.
Coupon code.
Or things like we'll get featured on like a CSS gallery and get like a load of traffic, but
But they
all those
convert
people aren't
terribly.
interested in the case. They just want to look at the web design. So that's
Yeah.
like kills it. So it's actually
Yeah.
really hard. It's
Yeah.
like I'm surprised
Yeah.
how hard it is to actually figure that out in a fair
Yeah.
way.
And then we were playing with
Oh.
ad campaign stuff, which screwed it too.
Oh, buying
Screwed
ads?
it up.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's true. The other
Um,
thing, before we go on to the ad campaign stuff,
Yeah.
we decided to test like some stuff with international shipping. So I think it's shipping for domestic is $5. Peel cases are $25. International is $11 shipping, and we decided to just see if it would convert better if we dropped the $11 international shipping to $5, so it's just the same across the board. And actually, it's like a net positive. So
I have the conversion rate difference there. Before the old shipping, the international conversion, which is obviously different from the overall conversion, international conversion was 2.8%. So there's a big drop off of people being like, I want this, but oh, holy shit, like the shipping's just too expensive. It's not
Yeah.
worth it. And actually, it is pretty expensive. It's like almost half. It's over half. It
Yeah.
was over half for a while.
Now it's not. Now it's
Now
less
it's
than
not.
half.
It's
Yeah.
almost half. So it's 2.8 versus the new shipping, which is 5.5% conversion for international orders.
So what that basically means is we took international traffic numbers during the test period, which was like 2 or 3 weeks, maybe it was like 4 weeks now. Applied the old conversion rate to it. So basically we had 99 orders during the test period of international orders. Applied the old conversion rate, and the old conversion rate would have been 50 orders. We lost $6 per order, dropping it from 11 to 5. Make sure I'm saying
Okay.
I just kind of
I'm trying to keep these numbers straight. So basically, I have my notes here. So we made an extra $1,250 in revenue with a better conversion rate, but we lost $590 in lost revenue of shipping. So basically, we spent $590 to gain $1,200 revenue,
Yeah.
net positive. So
TLDR, it was good.
what?
it worked. Yeah.
And we made like $600 off of that
Yeah.
experiment.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll keep it.
Yeah, I think so. We'll keep an eye on it. But
If you're outside of the US and you wanted to get a peel case, but shipping's been too expensive, now would be a good time to do it because it's only $5, and it will be only $5 actually.
Yeah.
kind of indefinitely.
Yeah.
yeah. All right. So Peel advertising.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're testing just ourselves, doing some different ad campaigns on Facebook.
On Facebook, yeah. Just to like preliminarily, is that a word? I
Preliminarily.
was struggling with this yesterday,
Something like
actually.
that.
Whatever.
We did some preliminary tests.
Thank you.
I think we mentioned last episode that we were getting almost exactly $1 to almost exactly one visit. So on average, it worked out to a visitor would make us $1.
Yeah.
So we figured
Over
that-
the lifetime.
Over the
it's
lifetime.
actually better now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we figured that's probably in the range of where like a Facebook ad or a Google ad will probably work, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Marshall just like threw up some ads on Facebook. This is when we were in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And we were just like anxious, it's very excited, being like, okay, we've only spent like $15, we've got no conversions yet. Because obviously, like, as long as it's around $20, we still make money.
Yeah.
Well, a
Or
bit less than
even
that.
breaking even in ads probably has a net positive over
Oh,
a lifetime.
for sure.
So if they're email, they'll buy again later.
Yeah.
It's another person walking around telling people about their case.
Exactly. So we were just like, okay, like we spent $15, it's no sale yet. Like,
Yeah.
I think we just went just over, and then we made a sale, and it was awesome. And then it was like, yeah, it's very, very fun. And it worked out that we basically broke even for the whole campaign, right?
Yeah, it's going, I think it's like cost to acquire a customer was like $22.
Yeah. And that was
But-
with like not optimizing
Not
different
knowing
target markets
what I'm
really.
doing
It
at
was
all.
kind of like a general
Yeah.
thing.
I think we targeted a few publications that have featured us before, or like a sister one that's similar,
Yeah.
and like kind of quoted what somebody said about us, and then targeted. So it's a small subset. We can't like throw 10 grand at it and it just converts because there's not enough people. So it was like, all right, we don't know what we're doing.
It was a good sign, though, wasn't
but
it?
it's promising. So
Yeah.
let's hire like a professional.
Like it's only going to get better is the thing.
Yeah, so we basically tweeted out and started asking around for some recommendations on some really good ad people. Hired this guy who came really well recommended. We just started, I think, a couple days ago.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll update soon. But
Yeah.
I really want to dial that
Should
in.
be good. I have high hopes for it.
Can we talk about costs for that?
Yeah. So I think his setup first month is like $1,500. After that, to like run it, I think it's $1,000 or $1,250 a month.
So that's his fee
Just-
on top of the money we spend.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think we're going to start with like $3,000 a month testing it out. And the more money you can throw at it up front to trial the different tests and then kill the things that aren't working,
Yeah.
the quicker you can find, the answer of like what campaigns are going to work.
Yeah.
So I'm told.
Next podcast we can update on if that was a, positive thing to do.
We don't advertise at all up until now. That's kind of been the thing of like, it's just been content, stuff like this, word of mouth, and hopefully real growth or exponential growth can come from figuring this stuff out.
Yeah.
I have a quick stat for you.
Okay.
and I know you know the answer to this, but I want you to pretend like you don't.
Okay.
So, over the lifetime of Peel's existence, Google has sent 35,000 visitors. Have a guess how many visitors Ask.com has sent in like 2.5, 3 years.
I don't know, John. How many?
6.
Is that the old? Was that Ask Jeeves?
Yeah.
And then it converted
Yeah.
just Ask.
There's something so funny about that. Just 6.
That's just sad.
Yeah.
That's just sad.
Is that like someone's grandmother, like still
I don't
hanging on?
know.
Something that.
I'm surprised it's that low. I mean, I realize they don't have much market share, but 6.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
I think Yahoo was also equally not quite as bad as 6, but it was like pathetic compared to Google.
Yeah.
Was Bing higher than Yahoo? I don't
Yeah.
think it was.
Yeah, I think it was.
I think it was.
I think for
actually.
sure
Really?
it was. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
I think it was. You have to think that like Microsoft
anyone who has-
brings that like Bing is pre-installed on like any Windows computer now.
Yeah.
Like in the search engine,
Yeah.
which is why they have market share in the first place, I think.
Interesting.
Actually, a while ago, I remember seeing this a while ago actually, and it was this like you would type in a search term, and Google would list search results, and Bing would list search results, but it would be blind, so you wouldn't know which one was Google and which one was Bing, and then you would
Yeah.
vote which one was like better. Bing won. Bing is, at least it was when I saw this article, the better search engine in terms of like quality. It just has like a perception problem.
I'm gonna throw this out. I saw the exact same thing. Except it wasn't an article; it was an ad for Bing. But they did the exact same thing. of
It's
what
like
you're saying.
the Coke Pepsi test.
Yeah.
They copied that, right?
Yeah.
I guess, but it was an article. I read an article about
Okay.
it. They probably did what we
Yeah.
did with the Peer website.
Yeah,
like-
because I saw an ad for Bing, and they did that same split test.
It's interesting because, like, even though I know that, like, I'm not going to use Bing. What do I use Bing for? I get laughed
I
at.
think they got better too. Like Google, sometimes you'll type in something and you don't even have to click a link. It's just they pull the answer. It's at the top of Google results. Like they kind of do that little snippet
very
thing.
true.
Yeah,
Does Bing not do that kind of stuff?
I'm actually talking
You have
about
to
something
use
I don't
Bing a
know.
little bit.
Yeah.
I only know
Yeah.
Google because I don't use Bing.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what did we do yesterday, John, David? Launch.
Oh. We
That wasn't meant to like.
if you've seen previous episodes, we've talked about Launch, which is sort of came from a community where John kind of got started with stuff, I got started with stuff, a bunch of other people
As kids.
as kids,
Yeah.
as like 13-year-old
9 years
kids. Yeah.
Um,
So we recently launched that to the
we
masses.
launched Launch.
We
Basically.
launched Launch.
Yeah.
And we wrote a blog post detailing the story of how it got started and
Yeah.
the interesting things that have happened in there and all that kind of stuff.
So it's a Slack channel.
yes.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
And there's like what now 100 people in there
There's 100 people.
so far.
How many people signed up?
So we David designed a page. We got a domain. It's now like a thing where you can sign up and you don't have to just email us to get in there.
Yeah.
We put it on Product Time, wrote the blog post about it. On April Fool's Day is when we launched it. So we're like the only thing that's legit that launched yesterday. And it did number 2 on Product Time yesterday.
We were debating if it was a good time to launch or a bad time to launch. 'cause
I'm
it's
glad
like-
we did it.
I think it was a good time.
It's a good
People
kind
are
of
so
like-
burnt out on April Fool's things. I think that the fact that there was like an actual thing in there was kind of refreshing on
Yeah.
April Fool's Day.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it had a net positive effect
Yeah.
on April Fool's Day.
And it wasn't like a crazy product where like, even if it was legitimate, you'd be like, is this fake?
Yeah.
Is this...
Yeah.
So I think rough 24 hours, we had 2,000, I wrote it down, 2,300 signups to the list. I think it's
Which is great.
really awesome.
We
yeah.
all estimated. Remember the day before? We were like, how many do you think end of day tomorrow?
Oh, we
will have
took
on the
like
list?
a voting in the channel, yeah.
It was
I think I said 400 people.
Yeah.
I was around there.
too.
People were like, I don't know, there's 80 people.
Yeah. Somebody said if it hits 1,000, they'll like help. It's like an experienced developer saying he'll give like 2 hours of his time to like
Oh.
an inexperienced developer in there.
That's
if it hits
nice.
1,000,
Really?
And like, yeah, it was.
Wow.
Well, I won't say.
That's really nice.
And it hit, and we're like, well,
Cool.
nobody's expecting, so yeah.
So the plan with
Yeah.
that list is we're gonna kind of we don't want to let in 2,000 people straight away because it's like
Because
that
then
would- it would just be
all
a
these
sh-
conversations are going to be
it would just be
happening
a
at the
shit
same
show.
time.
I don't even know what would happen if we let 2,000 people in.
Yeah.
So we're gonna just like let in maybe like 20 people every day, if it gets too busy, we'll start adding additional channels, like a code channel, a product channel, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So if you're on the list and we haven't emailed you yet, we will. We'll just kind of opening it up gradually. So yeah, it went well.
Yeah.
What else did we do yesterday, Marshall?
Now I'm on the spot. What did we do yesterday?
We tried Soylent. It's not on the
Oh.
Yeah.
I ordered Soylent. I'd never tried it before. They came out with Formula 1.4. Ordered a week's worth, which is, I was thinking maybe like 2 servings a day. It's 4 servings a day, 7 days. It's 28 servings. There's like 7 bags of this stuff on my desk. If you don't know what Soylent is, it's this powder that you mix in water, and it's like supposedly this perfectly formulated food. Gives you all the nutrients you need.
Yeah.
Supposedly you can only eat this stuff if you wanted to. I think the goal is like to end world hunger in like foreign countries or whatever.
Yeah.
But the tech community is like super interested in this thing.
When you say formula, would you say 1.4?
It's like version 1.4.
Oh, got it.
It's like a bunch
so
of
they just
software
kind of
guys.
keep, they keep tweaking.
Yeah, like I think
recipe?
the first version, people were complaining about like being really gassy or whatever. Yeah.
Oh.
Got ear infections, flatulation.
This has been a gross episode.
So we tried it.
Sorry.
I periscoped it.
Yeah.
A bunch of people watched. And how did you like it?
It's disgusting.
It was pretty bad.
We should preface this by saying we didn't follow the instructions perfectly.
Well, here's what I didn't do. You're supposed to, they give you a pitcher, you put the whole thing in with water, you shake it for like a minute, or you put half water, put it in, then more water, and then shake it again. And then you're supposed to put it in the fridge for like 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
I think that's just to make it cold and not like room temperature disgusting.
Maybe it just takes time to like mangle mix is a better word than mangle. Mix with the water.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in the fridge now. I can try it again today.
It wasn't very nice though, was it?
It tastes like flour.
Yeah.
It's like
It really tasted
light
like flour.
brown flour mixed with water is what it tastes
I was
like.
actually thinking about it this morning and it made me feel sick. Like I was like, we were walking home. I put that in my mouth and swallowed it.
Yeah.
And I was
weird
like,
way to describe it, yeah.
I feel sick.
We were walking home yesterday and I was complaining about my like right side kind of hurt. I had a stomach ache for
We're starting to throw around some pretty serious claims.
Yeah.
That's probably
Get sued.
likely unrelated to this.
I had a
sort of-
light stomach ache.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe it's related, maybe
What a
not.
lot of people do is, we heard, is you mix it with peanut butter or you mix it with this other stuff and it kind of
Which probably makes it really nice. And I think
gives it a good flavor.
I think the pitch is awesome. As soon as they
I like the
if it
idea of
tasted
it is cool.
Why?
a little bit better.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
it's
why I
still
ordered
awesome.
it. Was like, we're all kind of notoriously bad about, we'll go to lunch or breakfast at like 10, 11 all together, walk into the office, work, already like not on lunch hours or whatever, work, it'll be like 4 or 5, we're all like, have you guys eaten anything? And then we're like moments from death, starving, to quote John. And then that's why I wanted it. It was just like, I'm really busy on something, I don't want to take time to like walk down the street and get lunch.
Yeah.
I can just drink, a glass of that. It's a meal and you're good.
Yeah.
It sounds like I'm eating Slim Fast or something.
So anyway, today
weird.
John and I are going to go out to a nice lunch, and Marshall will stay kind of back here with his flour shake.
Yeah. Anyways,
It's $70 a month. Sorry, a week for a week's worth of food.
85,
Oh,
including shipping.
which isn't bad.
Yeah.
If you work out
That's
like
pretty good.
per meal basis.
Yeah, that is pretty good.
And the way that
That's
I'm
how
going to use
many-
it would be, if it was every day, it'd be 28 business days.
Wait,
Like
is
I'm
it
at the
2
office.
meals a day, 3 meals a day? What is
4.
it? Oh,
It's
pretty good.
Not
yeah, that's pretty good.
bad. So, anyway, next thing we talked
A
about.
little rusty.
I know
Yeah.
it seems like such a long time. It's weird talking about the Peel launch
'Cause that was
happened
ages
such a long
ago.
time ago now. It's
3
like-
weeks.
Feels like a
4
long
weeks.
time ago.
Yeah.
We need to start doing this more.
We sat down yesterday. We're going to get better with doing new blog posts and content. Maybe the podcast is still just kind of every once in a while, but at least blog
I
posts.
think,
we're gonna get
I
better.
like doing this every 2 weeks because the problem is like
Yeah.
I just fall out of the habit, and then we all kind of get like a bit awkward, and it's like we just never kind of get better.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Anyways.
so next thing we have to talk about.
Last thing.
Last thing we have to talk about is the 60-day sprints, which we
Mhm.
mentioned a few episodes ago. So we recently finished our last 60-day sprint, which went pretty well. We hit everything? Question mark?
Everything.
Yeah,
with 2 things in progress.
Yeah.
That didn't get completed.
Yeah, we had to adjust 2 things.
But we could. There were things that we actually were kind of outside of our control.
Yeah.
We were just waiting on factories and stuff. We couldn't do anything. So that went well. We thought it would be a good idea to go over the next 60-day sprint, just so you guys can see what we're working on and what we have planned.
I'll just rattle them off.
Okay.
If you have something to add to them. So, new smart bedding manufacturer. That's a huge deal. Getting that up and going again. We'll write the story on that pretty soon, on all the troubles we've had with the previous one and restarting it again.
Yeah.
Launching second, which is kind of the most important thing. Yeah.
Which is a big one.
Yeah.
And this is a good time to talk about this.
Yeah.
And I don't think we talked about this, but if we have, I apologize. I'm going to talk about the sign-up flow. So, go to the website. We're going to have this kind of conversational thing. So it's not just going to be forms that you fill in, you fill in a username, email, password, all that kind of stuff. It's going to be this mysterious thing that talks to you and asks you questions. And the first thing it asks is your email address, and then we're going to ping the Clearbit API, and hopefully get your name back, and then use that to guess the person's name who's filling in the form.
Yeah,
it's going to be kind of positioned as this mysterious, intelligent, AI type thing, which is really cool.
Yeah.
One of the steps in that flow will be you'll get to name your second. We've definitely talked about that before. We will then send you a welcome kit,
like a snail mail welcome kit,
through the post, and I have a preview of that here. So in this really nice thick black envelope.
So far away.
I know, that's good. There's still an element of mystery and surprise when they actually get it in the post. Inside will be a letter from your second, and it will be signed, hand signed, from the name of the thing that you created on the website. So if you call it Amy or Alfred or whatever, it'll say from Alfred.
Kind of saying what we can do for you, or what your second can do for you. And then the cool part.
Yeah.
And then we have this kind of cool Amex Black style membership card, business card with your second's phone number on there. It's metal and cool and just feels really nice. We also have, this isn't quite as cool as I should have started with this, but a sticker that you can stick on things.
I like our logo.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's supposed to be a high-end experience.
Yeah.
The sign-up flow is really cool. You're still doing it, but it's really cool as it is.
And it's just good back and forth conversation. Helps round out the experience, since it's you named this thing and it's created, and it sends you this letter signed by this thing, but you gave it the name. It's a cool cool experience, I think. Yeah.
So anyway, I just wanted to quickly mention that because I had it with me.
So it's finishing up this stuff, finishing up the back end, bunch of stuff.
Yeah, opening up
for
and launching.
second.
So the next thing is mod. This is kind of small, but I think it's interesting. We do a lot of custom corporate orders on mod, which is basically someone being like, hey, can you change the color of your notebooks? I'll order 500 of them, stamp my logo on it, and we'll use it for a conference or whatever. And we don't actually even advertise this. It's just people asking if we can do it, and we do it all the time. We're just going to design a page for it. I just find it really interesting that a big chunk of mod's revenue is from that.
I think we actually, it's over half.
Maybe.
I think, when did I work that out? I think I was.
Well, that was during the first 30 days of launch, when Google did a notebook, NBC Universal did a notebook.
Yeah.
It was 40%.
That was
then. I think it's less now, but it's still. That's a huge chunk for something we don't even advertise that we can do.
Yeah.
So that's a big focus of increasing revenue. Is just.
It's easy to do. Just kind of throw up a page talking about it.
We also want to do kind of more small batch stuff. So if someone wants to order 100 or 200 or 1,000, we can just get the factory in China to make a completely custom notebook for them. We also want to offer people kind of smaller, maybe it's a party or a startup or something,
or just buying a dozen.
Right, maybe 10 or 50 or something like that. We can basically just take their logo, stamp it on one of the notebooks we already have.
Building out
build out the process to kind of do all that stuff.
Yeah, Jason's building this cool machine. It's this cool press. So we can offer that as a service.
Yeah.
These are, I think, now small things. We're gonna do a new blog navigation. So this is part of the reason why we don't post a lot. Is there's little things we can announce, but we have some like really good like evergreen blog posts that I don't want to like bump down the page further and further. So we're tweaking like the blog design so you can kind of filter through like recent, like the golden, the good stuff, announcements, stuff like that.
Yeah.
It'll allow us to kind of post more often, basically. iPad cases for Peel. We're gonna do. That's new. Sourcing that, packaging, sourcing from the factory.
I want to just mention how confusing the iPad
Oh, the lineup
product
is?
line is.
Yeah.
We spent
Yeah,
a
how
lot
long-
of
how long
time.
did that take?
I mean, a while. Like I consider us like, a bunch of fairly intelligent like tech guys.
Yeah.
All of us were just very, very confused by the whole thing. Like, it's
iPad
confusing because
Mini,
there's like,
iPad Air, iPad 2, new iPad.
yeah,
I'm just kind of
and all
making
out of
names, but I
order.
think-
Like
When they went to Retina, when the dimensions, like the thickness and the dimensions on them changed.
Exactly.
Some are identical. iPad Mini, Retina 2 and 3 are actually the same size. One is different, I think.
one is slightly different. It's like it's just an absolute mess.
iPad Air 1 versus 2 is like a fraction of a millimeter different thickness. Is that what you figured out?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Um,
And we were going to bring in some of our own iPads to test some of the cases and stuff. And I don't know what I have.
that's interesting. Yes,
That's tricky.
I have
I'm
no,
curious.
I have no clue.
I'm curious. if
It's an
someone-
iPad Mini. I asked you, Marshall. Like we spent like Marshall. This is when Marshall was in Germany. Like we were all listing out all these models that we were going to support, and I asked you what iPad you had, and you were like, iPad Mini Retina. I looked at my list and I was like,
not
that's
on
not
there.
even on my list. Like,
Figured out it's iPad Mini 2 now.
Okay.
That's what it is.
okay. But,
Yeah, I wonder if that's going to be a problem when people are going to buy a case and they're like, I don't
we
know
might
what
have to
iPad
have
I
some
have.
kind of like, I don't know, guide or something.
Yeah.
Like a way of checking it. I wonder if we can check it like through code somehow. Isn't there some kind of like browser like metadata that we can use to be like, this person's using an iPad Mini?
Oh, like you're browsing with this
Yeah.
device? Maybe.
I don't know if you can get to the model. Yeah.
That's interesting.
I'm
We
sure
could
it's
we
like-
could probably tell the difference between the Mini and the Air just based on the screen size
Yeah.
or the resolution.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Anyway, just a thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's like new packaging for stuff, getting the actual cases,
Product
taking product
shots.
shots, putting it on the site.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
yeah, it'd be fun.
Yeah.
Hopefully, a big chunk of our existing customer base owns an iPad.
Yeah. We
Wants a
decided
full case.
we plan on doing Android cases too, but the problem with doing Android cases is like our whole audience for Peel has an
Oh, yeah.
iPhone. So it makes sense to do an iPad because there's definitely some crossover there, but it's probably going to be very few people who, at least
Yeah.
like on our list.
We're starting from zero on that.
Exactly. It's going to be much harder to kind of get that going. But we are planning on doing Android cases. The other problem is there's so many SKUs for Androids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That it just
Ton of
makes
different
it-
colors, ton of different phones.
Right. So it's like, and there's always like a lead time, and it takes some time to like get these things going, and there's always new ones coming out all the time. It's just like
Yeah.
it's kind of an intimidating task,
Headache a little
honestly,
bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the other thing is launching launch, which we can check off
Which we
as
did.
of yesterday. The other thing I skipped is I have it down as like after purchase strip campaigns. So we have like a ton of emails now. I think it's like 20,000 plus across all the different products. Need, want. I'm missing something here, but we really only use it if like need, want list. We blast like this and new blog posts. But Peel customers may not know about need, want. They may not know we make all these other products, and we're kind of going to build out this like email drip campaign for all the different lists over course of a year that goes out, kind of slowly introducing customers to like the other products, about the company, things we make, which should be interesting. I think
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be
activating
curious to
like
see how that
an
does.
asset that we have we don't actually use. But yeah, I think that's everything. Did I miss anything?
That's it.
Yeah, so that's our 60-day sprint.
So we're like what, 3 weeks into that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's everything.
You have a lot of design stuff to do.
Yeah, we got a lot to do.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's our sprint.
So I guess we'll try and do another episode in 2 weeks. Is that the tentative plan?
Maybe.
Let's see.
We'll try.
Let's see.
Yeah.
I forget how we end these. How do we end these?
Oh, it's like if you have any questions,
Oh, yeah.
email us, hello, need, want. We
Yeah,
don't have any listener questions.
Where can we find you? Where can we find you, John?
I'm on Twitter.
Oh.
My username is @John.
JON?
@JON.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Mine's @Marshall with One L.
1L. At Digit.
Cool.
That's it.
Need want at Need Want Inc. INC. Right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Cool.
that's it.
All right.
Bye.
I'll end it there. Bye.